I've just been at home this week vibing to Moonchild. OMG.
Yeah.
Moonchild was giving all the vibes this week. I mean, it was just so good that like my day just melted away. I get up and, pop it on YouTube and just literally just listen all day. And it just felt good. The music just felt really good. So it's one of those things like you didn't know that's what your soul needed kind of thing. But it was really good. Real good.
I like watching them live. They're when I first heard them, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, okay, they're jamming. And then I heard her speak a little bit because remember I sent you the tiny desk.
Yeah.
I was like, is this Becky? And I looked over, I was like, you go ahead, girl. You better sing the song. That's what I love about that music is like it's so great because anybody can feel it. But I just remember that one, because I had the NPR like playing.
Yeah.
And I heard it and I was like, okay, they're jamming. It went from like Anderson .Paak to them to a few. I was like, okay, this is nice. I was like, what?
Yes. And it's funny because it's not just one, you know how sometimes a new artist will have like a one-off CD where it's just like, okay, it's really good. And then the next one, it's like, but this one was just, it was just one song after the next. And what really caught my attention, there was a new song by Layla Hathaway featuring Layla Hathaway. It's called Tell Him. Oh my gosh, I fell in love with that song. So then I'm like, let me go to YouTube and see what they're really all about. Man, open a can of worms with that one. Yeah, so I just been vibing out to that this week and just kind of, it's interesting because I don't think we spend enough time on what feels good. And I know we keep talking about this over and over about what feels good. And that music just felt so good to my soul. It just felt so warm because, it's cold outside and, you just want to feel good. So it just felt really good. And, that same day I made some soup and the soup was feeling good to my tummy. And the music.
What kind of soup?
I had some split pea soup. It was the first time I had ever made split pea soup in my life. And it was so good because I had some leftover honey baked ham from Christmas. Man, total vibes. So I'm eating the soup and listening to the music and it was just good.
She said life is good. She's
good.
making her food. She's listening to music. She's getting jobs. She is
all of that. All of that. Getting booked and busy.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been good, man. It's just life is just feeling really good, And I feel like I'm just in this place where I'm just like, it's good. And I'm thinking, man, if this right here feels good, oh my gosh, the next level up is gonna feel even better. So I'm in a good space, man.
I love it. Yesterday I finished work. I was like, I need to shut it down because I will go, but I was like, let me shut it down. So shut it down. I put on a little Trevor Noah. Do you know Trevor?
Of course.
I love Trevor Noah.
Yeah, Trevor's cool.
Trevor, if you're listening, I'm 1,000% available for you, Trevor Noah. Hey. No, but he's so funny. He makes me laugh. And so just laughing and hearing someone do all these accents and stuff like that, it was so good. And then, have you heard of this? Well, I guess maybe he wouldn't be. Well, I guess he would be like a spiritual healer. It's Muji.
No. You always turn me something. You always turn me on to something new. Tell me about Muji.
Like such sweet serenity. So I was looking for a really good guided meditation, but I wanted it from someone because I realized that you can take a course to learn how to write a meditation. You can learn how to write a hypnosis. You can do all of that. And so what I love about, I wouldn't call him like a yogi because he's not a yogi. He's like a leader. Do you know?
Yeah.
He's the leader. I'm going to call him a leader because that's what he is.
Yeah.
And like, oh my, first of all, I've never cried so much. First of all, I've never seen the white light so much. First of all, I've never been so, the way he described it. So there's this one meditation and he was like, you're knocking at the door because you're looking for something. You're looking for an answer. He was like, I'll let you in, but you got to leave your mind at the door.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? He was like, yeah.
That part. Yeah.
But leave your mind at the door, leave all of it, the thoughts, the imaginations. So he really helped you disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like a school kid. I was like, oh, I'm leaving my backpack at the door. Look at, what do I got in here? I got some stress. I got some problems. Right. Oh, look at the fear. Okay, I'm going to put it all in here.
Yeah.
So as he kept like saying the things to leave at the door, I mean, I've envisioned myself, I guess it would be someplace in Bali in like a wooden hut, and he's there, he's teaching the class, and I would have to run back out, like, oops, I forgot to put that back out there. And then he finally got you to a point where he's like, yeah,
wow,
how does this feel? And so it was really nice because as we're talking about this week, intention, mindset, inner voice, consciousness, self-awareness. So when this is what he was saying. He was like, this is what it means to be self-aware. You are nothing, but you are everything.
Yeah.
You're not north, you're not south, you're not, he taught you how to subjectively look at your thoughts as if they were, he's like, yeah, just let them pass on through. And sometimes it's nice because everyone else who's listening, we're all going through the same thing. Like, how do you calm those thoughts? But listening to it from someone like him who actually, I mean, he's so practiced at it. It's what he does.
Yeah.
And for him to guide you to that point in 20 minutes was this meditation.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So after you came out of that meditation, what were some of your your afterthoughts? What were you thinking about that?
Well, I laughed because he was like, you don't believe me that this is the place where you need to be? He was like, let me know how you feel tomorrow. In fact, let me know how you feel in 30 minutes. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you feel different. You're just at ease. You're just calm. You've been in such a serene place. And it's almost as if you're so distant from everything else, the way he makes you shut it all down as if it's some sort of machine.
Yeah.
And when you realize that you're able to do that, I feel like, I started it a few days ago, and now today it's probably the 4th day that I'm into it. And now, I mean, I really actually want to be alone. Paul's like, what's happening? Why are you so distant? And I'm like, I promise you I'm in another world. Like, I've gotta practice that every single day and get to a place where that place is the normal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so interesting that you say that. That's what happens to me during the transcendental meditation. It's the same kind of process where you're literally just quieting that inner voice. That's why you're able to, when I was saying before in the previous episode, that you're literally able to stop yourself from thinking because you have the ability to turn off that inner voice. But I don't think a lot of times we pay attention to some of the things that we're saying in that inner voice. What is that inner voice saying? So I think it's critical to begin thinking about what you're thinking about. Like, what is that inner voice saying to you? What is that inner voice telling you to do? And sometimes I'll hear people say things about themselves, and I'm thinking, my God, I wonder if that's the kind of thing they're saying to themselves all day long. It's like you wake up in the morning, you press the play button, and you just hear this recording of your, that inner voice telling you all these negative things all day long, but you have the power to shut that off. So one of the things for me that just kind of resonated is just being really conscious about moments where I just completely shut that inner voice off. So even if it's a positive thing that's happening, just quieting my mind and not hearing anything. It's just still, it's quiet, and it's just such an amazing place to be. And you do have the ability to turn it off and on when you want to.
And change the narrative, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you realize that you're everything but nothing, that's one of the things he was saying. He was like, you know, whatever, when you go back into the world, like give yourself something good. No, why is it so stressful? But it's also really nice to be able to feel your body healing as well. What I really like about him is that he says, you know, your senses, your body reacts and your senses are still working. And how do you get in touch with that? It's so great that I was even able to like bring my body temperature so low.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, it's just the faint breath of in and out. And it's so nice because you realize that your body's doing it without you. You don't need to think about breathing. It just breathes.
Exactly.
So if you listen, you can feel in your body where it doesn't feel good.
Absolutely.
And you can bring your attention to it and bring energy to it so that it heals itself. So nice.
Absolutely. I know sometimes for me, I experience when I'm in meditation, I can experience where I don't even know my arm from my leg or my nose or the top of my head or my toes. It's like I'm there, I'm present, but I can't feel any other part of my body. I don't even know any other part of my body exists, which is it's a wild feeling. But when you become conscious of that, it's like, whoa, that's powerful. I remember one time I was in meditation and I literally floated outside of my body and I could see myself sitting in the chair where I was sitting, but I was in meditation. I was kind of like floating out. And when it was time for me to kind of come back into my consciousness, like I didn't want to come back. I could feel myself struggling to come back into my body. And it was the weirdest thing ever. I'd never experienced that before.
That sounds like a Netflix show. Starring Loronda.
Now, you know what? I'm not fooling with you today.
I'm kidding. You know, I'm kidding.
But it might be a Netflix show.
It might, see?
If anybody's listening. Oh my goodness. But people do have out-of-body experiences.
No, people do have
They do. My mom had one when I was being born. She literally floated outside of her body. And that's another whole story, but
I'm super excited to have one. I'm scared, but I'm also excited.
I haven't had one since though. This has been probably, I don't know, a few years ago.
No way.
But it was a struggle coming back to this place. I was like, it feels real good out here. I think I'm gonna hang out for a little while. Yeah. So I think when you're doing a lot of searching for whatever it is that you're searching for, you're becoming more enlightened, more aware of yourself and how you interact with the world. I think you experience a lot of different things, especially when you're dealing with the mind, because the mind is it's very powerful and you experience a lot of different things and you go through a lot of different things, but you just got to pay attention to those things because they mean something. They really do mean something. So having an out-of-body experience, it's like, wow. And it's interesting. I was talking to my mom this week we were talking about near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. And she was saying after she had that experience, you know, while she was giving birth to me, she just was so fascinated at the fact that something like that could happen, because obviously she had never heard anybody that had ever had that done, you know, had it happen before. And she said she became so obsessed with it. And then one day she was watching TV and she saw a whole panel of people who had these near-death experiences and these out-of-body experiences. So I think when you open yourself up to the idea of, or the possibility of, you start to get the answers that you're seeking.
Yeah. Have you heard about this one doctor? This is a little related, not a little bit, but a little off topic here. Have you heard about this one doctor that works with people who, like, it could be a kid and he's explaining to his dad something that he saw in the war of like 60 years ago or something like that, where they you know, he still can feel or he still can see the life before him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, what's his name?
I'm gonna figure that. I'm gonna get it, but insane.
Now, I do know of a doctor that, and this is going to sound really crazy. I think he's in Brazil, and his name is John.
Okay.
And he did surgery on Dr. Wayne Dyer. Dr. Wayne Dyer had leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was now, Dr. Dyer was in Hawaii when this happened. And the Dr. John, we'll call him Dr. John, I think he was in Brazil or something like that. So he had given Wayne Dyer all of these instructions to prepare him for surgery.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything he was supposed to do the night before. He did everything, got ready for the surgery. And Dr. John operated on Dr. Wayne Dyer from Brazil when he was in Hawaii. And I had never heard anything like that before.
Oh, I love this.
Never heard anything about this before. He performed the surgery, did everything that he, needed to do. But there were some things that, after surgery that Wayne Dyer didn't do, that the doctor told him to do. And as a result of that, he was having some adverse experiences, some adverse symptoms. So Dr. John told him, okay, I need you to follow this step by step. And then he did it. But after this surgery, Wayne Dyer was fine. You'll have to look that up because it's an extraordinary story.
But he did operate?
He operated on him. He did.
Meaning, like he had the tools and that.
No.
Oh, but he operated.
Dr. John was in Brazil. Wayne Dyer was in Hawaii. And he performed surgery on him and he got better.
The mind is so powerful.
Powerful.
I would love someone.
Powerful. It's powerful.
Oh, the guy's name that I was talking about is Jim Tucker.
No, I've never heard of him.
So he's in this Netflix series called Surviving Death. He reveals children's accounts of remembering their past lives.
Oh, wow.
So cool.
Wow. Yeah. We have the ability to do, extraordinary things. Mm-hmm. Extraordinary things. You think about a mom who lifts the car off of a kid. It's, how does she have the strength to do that?
Right.
And it's just one account after the other, after the other, after the other. Mm-hmm. So if you have that level of power and you understand the power that you have, why aren't we as a people striving to be better, to be our higher self, knowing that we have the ability and the power to do that?
Oh, I'd like to say, well, I don't know. How did you get introduced to this? To being aware of consciousness?
Well, for me, reading books. It started when I I think when I started to really do the real work, or the beginnings of the real work, is in high school. I fell in love with psychology, and one of my favorite teachers, Charles Gartrell, he was this tall, beautiful man with bright orange hair, and he was the craziest guy I had ever met in my life. But he was such an amazing teacher that, that was like one of my favorite classes. And I think for me, just dealing with emotional trauma, growing up, and wanting to understand that, wanting to understand the why it was happening, and wanting to understand myself. So just, being on that quest of wanting to understand myself and understand what was happening to me, it just kind of led me down this path of I need to know more about this. So I would spend a lot of time in the self-help section in the bookstore, just reading and just literally soaking it all in and listening to motivational speakers. And that's how it all kind of got started for me. And I think, when you take that first step of wanting to know why things are happening or why certain things are the way they are, and you wanting to be a better person, because it's really about you. It's not anybody else. It's not about the trauma. It's not about the circumstances or any of that. But at some point in your life, you have to get to a point where you want to understand yourself better. So that's kind of how it happened for me, wanting to understand me better. And psychology helped me do that. Psychology helped me to understand what was going on up here. Why was I thinking certain things? Why was I acting a certain way? And why was I doing certain things? So, and not really showing up in relationships and friendships the way I should. So that's kind of how it started for me, is just wanting to understand myself better. And it's just been a lifelong journey from that point. And just the more I searched for it, the more I found, the more I uncovered. It was like, a little treasure. It's like, ooh, I found a little gem over here and another gem over here. And this gem led to the next gem and the next gem and the next gem. So, that's just even what I do to this day. I continue to look for those gems and things that will make me a better person. How can I be better? How can I get to, my highest potential? I know that my brain has the capacity for a lot of stuff, and I want to be able to see how far my mind can go and how far my thinking can go and my creativity and ideas. I want to see that. I want to be able to see that. And that's, part of the reason why we do what we do here in the show, is we want to be able to explore the possibilities of where our minds can take us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And people should know that it's always available to you. Just as you said, once you started awakening in the conscious of realizing that it's available, then it just seems like it's everywhere, but it is actually always everywhere. It's just, are you looking for it?
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that if you look for it, if you're actively seeking, you will find.
Yeah. But I think people get so caught up in, in life, like life is happening and people just want to deal with what's in front of them. I've got a stack of bills over here, or, my kid is having issues in class, or things aren't going well at work. My relationship is not good. My finances aren't good. So I'm trying to deal with those situations because those things require my immediate attention. So me trying to be a better me and raise my level of consciousness and be, self-aware, that's like something that's bottom on the list. That's not something that's, that I need to deal with now. But what people don't understand is, if you start to understand yourself more and the more you become awake, all those things become, easier to manage.
Yeah, they do. How would you describe consciousness and self-awareness to someone who perhaps has never heard of it before?
To me, it's just being present. Self-aware is me as an individual in this big old world. How do I interact in this world? And how do the things that happen to me, how do they make me feel? How do those things affect me? How does one thing relate to the other? So we're not just these beings just kind of flapping around in the world. Our presence means something. So just, it's kind of like being in the dark and then having someone flip the light switch on. And being aware of the fact that that light is now on. So now the light is on, I can see certain things. So now what do I do with these new things that are in front of me? How would you describe it? What would you think about it?
I think self-awareness is when, I think that there's levels of self-awareness. And at some point, everyone is self-aware.
Right.
But there's different levels, because some people can probably sense it a little bit more, and maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but you know that somehow some of this works in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then I think consciousness is when you're actually fully aware of it and you're able to take action, and you have like complete, maybe not complete, but you have a higher level of understanding of how it actually all works and functions.
Yeah.
And so you know that you have the choice. Like kids are self-aware. They're probably like, what? But they're not conscious yet, you know,
Right.
that deep in that level, but they're self-aware.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to be able, once you are conscious, it's easy to spot out someone who is either struggling in their self-awareness, which is not a problem, but they're either struggling or they're not exactly there yet. And it's easy to spot. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really easy to spot.
So when you were studying and reading about consciousness, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer, what were some of your discoveries that you discovered about yourself as it relates to consciousness?
I think for myself, it was more of, hey, I do know what I'm doing. I do know what this is. I am good at it. I'm good at teaching other people how to find it. Whereas before, maybe I thought like, I'm a little weird. I kind of internalized it a bit different where I was like, oh, I'm weird.
Yeah.
But now, you know, like, no, you're not weird. And you can actually help people. And I loved Michael because he just was like, I just let life come to me.
Yeah.
Just let it unflow. I didn't have to do much. And that seems like a lot for people to think about. What do you mean I don't have to do much? What do you mean I just need to sit and sit and do what? You know what I mean? He was like, no, just sitting there and it would just pop up. And so now I'm more aware of that as well. And I love it. I'm impatient at moments.
Yeah.
But it is nice to know that if I choose to sit and be quiet and still enough, the voice comes out and the voice tells you exactly where to go. And it's never, oh, really? It's always like the next, well, it was the next logical idea. Well, duh, of course. Or then it seems like life is magical because something happened and it probably happened even greater than what you thought it was. So it's sad sometimes when you hear people speak and they speak about how unhappy they are or how life is so cruel and things like that. And I used to have that way of speaking as well. I'm not exempt from that. But as I did my work, then you're like, no, life is actually pretty helpful.
Yeah, it is.
You just have to be okay with where you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's always a tricky part for me.
Yeah. I think we get caught up a lot too in feeling like we have to be doing something. There's not always a lesson.
No.
There's not always work that needs to be done.
Work hard, play hard.
Oh, sometimes you can just sit back and chill.
Yeah.
I think that's when I get my greatest epiphanies about life, is when I'm just like doing absolutely nothing. And I struggled with that initially. It's like, I need to be hustling. I need to be grinding. I need to be, girl, no, you don't. Sit down.
And then it's the hustling and the grinding that puts you further away from it, because then your thoughts come in and you're like, oh my gosh, but I sat and worked for 12 hours and life is like, but I didn't ask you to do that. And now I was going to, you know what I mean? Now it was available to you, but because then you got into your mind, now it's going to take you longer to get to the thought that I was trying to get you to, which was right here.
Exactly.
But you decided to do 12 hours of work. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't ask you.
You weren't told to do that. Yeah.
You weren't told to do that, but never mind. We're here now, you know, and then that's the other point that people have to understand. It's never mind. We're here now.
Yeah. Because eventually you're going to get there. Whether you struggle to it, hustle to it, grind to it, when you start to become more aware that you really don't have to do all of that. You have to listen. I'm not saying you don't have to do some work. You have to take inspired action, but you don't have to do it to the point where you're just exhausted or you're just like, oh my, you don't have to do all of that.
I hate when I see, not I hate, that's a strong word. I dislike when I see that a lot on Instagram where it's like, woke up at 5 a.m. and if you're not waking up at 5 a.m., you're not doing shit.
Listen.
I'm like,
stop that. I'm just gonna swipe past that post because
if you like to wake up at 5, wake up at 5. Who cares? Nobody cares. But no one. You didn't have to wake up at 5 and run and raw.
Now, if I wake up at 5, I'm just gonna lounge and luxuriate for another 2 hours. I might be awake, but I'm laying in bed like, just waiting for the just all the wonderfulness to come to me, because it does. Mm-hmm. When your mind is not constantly running and active, the gems that you get from life, like life is constantly like dropping gems. And I wake up every morning with my bag open, like, all right, what you dropping today?
Right. Yeah. I work with a client and he was doing that where he's like, I'm waking up at 5. And I'm like, there is not 1 ounce of gratitude in here. There's no journal writing. Good.
Nothing.
There's no intention setting in your day. You're just doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Checking off the to-do list. People get up in the morning, it's like, oh, I got to check off this to-do list. I got to do this, and this. No, what about an intention list? How about that? Like you said, a gratitude list. What am I grateful for today in this moment? Because the more you're grateful, the more you show gratitude, the more you get, the more you receive, the more you're able to give, because you're living in a state of gratitude. And I think that's what enlightened people do. We live in a state of gratitude all day long. I'm constantly thanking, like, thank you for this parking space. Thank you for, this bagel, and thank you for this coffee. Just little things throughout my day. I'm very aware. Just say thank you. If I can get my mic to work before the show, thank you. It's just the little things. And it's just so effortless. It just automatically comes out of my mouth. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's nice. And then it becomes a way of life because it's a habit that you then start to develop. Mm-hmm. And then that's when life feels good. It's because then you can look at everything and find the joy inside of it.
Absolutely.
So gratitude is important, but it's work. But it's the best work you can ever do because it's just so self-fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you feel good. Definitely makes you feel good. Tell me, your younger self, what generational knowledge would you want to drop to your younger self? What would you want to tell her? And you can pick whatever age. It doesn't even matter the age, but what would you want to tell her? Tell that young girl.
Oof. Probably have to be everything is all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of mine.
All right in both terms of the spelling and definitions.
Right. Yeah, that was one of mine too. And one of my other ones is just be patient because your healing is coming. Just be patient. And then the other one is stop BSing with your money and invest in the stock market. Girl,
get your Tesla.
Get that brokerage account together.
Tesla.
I'm serious, man. Yeah. Speaking of which, hang on a second. Let me check my account real quick because I need to get. I need to get another share of Tesla real quick. I need to catch this dip real quick.
I put that in my 2022 goal. I mean, I just put that in my goal of 2022 of lifetime.
Yeah.
I think I have to meet him. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I have to meet him.
Just to be in the room with him, just to be in his presence, to soak up all that yumminess.
Yeah.
I bet the vibe in the room is just like so chill.
I would just want to talk to him. I don't know. Like, I would love to have that awkward conversation. Be like, you're a good guy.
You're a good guy. Like inherently just a good guy. And you want so much goodness for everybody else. That's the thing I love about people like him is, you know, and it's a rare find. It's a rare find to find someone who just oozes that. You know, you can still make money and be successful in whatever it is that you do, but people who just have a genuine love for other people and want to see people do well that's a very attractive trait in a person, you know, because they're coming from a good place.
You know, they're coming from a good place, and that they have just this special way that they look at life. And
yeah,
even though the normal people can't see it that way, keep going. You go, Elon.
And those people seem to get bashed a lot too. People are just like,
oh, they're so mean.
Hater.
I can't. It just makes me so. Because I always want to be like, what about you? What are you doing?
What are you doing with your life? That's so great.
What did you do today? What did you do today? You know what I mean? What did you do today? Really, what did you do today?
How did you contribute to humanity? How did you do that? What did you do? What did you give today? How did you serve today? How did you do that? And most people be like, what do you mean? I don't understand.
Someone went off at me the other day. Like, you don't have a vaccine. I'm like, and you're smoking a cigarette just as you're yelling at me. Wow, look at that. Isn't that interesting? Wow. You know, just,
that's what
people,
happens.
let's stop doing that. See, this is why you need to find your consciousness.
That's it.
Awareness, because when you find love for yourself, then you have love for more people, and it's just, you don't feel threatened or bothered, or you're excited because that's their life. I mean, you have yours.
Yeah.
Yours has its own story. And go travel so you can see that life is not just the existence of your neighborhood. Get outside.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah.
But, you know, this is why we do what we do, so people can find the courage to continue on and to really step into who they are and become who they are. And it's practice, so don't be hard on yourself. It doesn't come right away, but learn it, and as you learn it, you get better, and as you find more gratitude in just the fact that you learned and now you're better than you were 2 days ago.
Absolutely. Because I certainly was, the person that y'all see in front of you, like, this girl did wow. I mean, the level of transformation, like most people, when I tell them that I used to be like this really negative person, I was very dark. I would always wear dark colors, black and gray, and just dark. I was just dark because it was dark in here and I couldn't really see the light. But when I got a little glimpse of that light, man, I started running towards that light like, ooh, I want more of this. So now I wear bright colors and I want, you know, things around me to be bright and colorful. And it makes me feel good. It just makes me feel really good. And so, you know, I haven't always been in this space. It took some work. It took a lot of work. And, you know, when I moved here over 20 years ago, in my 30s, I started working with a teenage girls group. And I really feel that that's where my healing really started to kind of blossom, as I started to heal the teenage girl in me by working with these young ladies and hearing their issues and their struggles. And, you know, it was like this reciprocity thing going on. I didn't realize it at the time, but in hindsight, looking back on those moments, it's like, my God, they were healing and I was healing at the same time. So it was just, you know, we have these moments where, you know, life is happening, but if we're not really paying attention, we can't capture those moments and really excel and you know, just be better people.
Yeah. I used to find myself in chaotic situations all the time.
Yeah.
My life was just chaos.
Yeah.
So I have not been always the same person either. But look at me now, darling.
Right? Look at us.
Look at this bird just
Look at
flying
this.
around.
Look at this.
Look at me blossoming of a flower.
I know, man. It's good. It's good stuff.